The question I'm going to be answering today from my book, The Science of Living, is the question, how can I swap bad habits for better ones? Now, all habits are formed in the brain in a structure called the basal ganglia, and that's deep within the brain in the most primitive, primal parts of our brain. And that's because without habits, we'd be completely useless. We wouldn't be able to do anything. You wouldn't be able to use the toilet, put your clothes on, brush your teeth, and you can forget about driving a car if we didn't have habits. And all habits, good and bad, follow the same three-step process. There's a cue, the thing that triggers the behavior, and then there's the reward that we get afterwards, which drives the whole process over and over, so that every time we get the cue, we do the behavior. And every single habit that we have, the reward that we feel is driven by a hormone called dopamine. And that's that feel-good hormone, the feel-good that you get when you've done some good piece of work, when you've been on a roller coaster, when you've eaten a fabulous dish of food, or even when you've fallen in love. It's all driven by dopamine. And you may have heard it said that it takes 21 or maybe 28 days to make or break a habit. In reality, that's a myth, a 1960s piece of armchair psychology. When you look at the science, it shows that between 18 and 254 days is more reasonable for all the different habits that we have that would make or that would break. And that depends on the complexity of the task, how much it breaks your norm, how motivated you are, and what your personality is like. So you can't just say it's 21 days or 28 days to make or break a habit. But if you want to change your habits, there are some tips, and here's 3 tips I'll give you. One is to avoid the negative triggers, so those cues. So let's say your cue for eating a donut on the way home from work is the fast food joint. So when you see the fast food logo, you go in there and then you buy the donut, and you can't resist the temptation to eat it. So if you avoid that cue, if you take a different route home, then you can avoid that negative behavior. The second thing that you can do is to just do the behavior, to train the basal ganglia and those neural pathways to do the new thing that you want to do. So let's say, for example, you would say, I'm going to run for 5 minutes every day of the next week, and that will help train and ingrain that new behavior. The third thing is to nurture that dopamine, that feel-good response that you get after having done something good. So if you've been exercising, then just rest back, relax, and enjoy that feel-good feeling that you get afterwards. There's some tips for you. If you want to find out more about the science of your everyday life, you can check out my book, The Science of Living, which is like that. If you live in North America, it looks a little bit different, and it's called Live Your Best Life, and it looks like that.